Good morning.
Hey, good morning, sweetie. How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you, Dad?
I'm fine. What's happening in your world?
Uh, well, right now it's just oatmeal and being awake for the first hour of the day.
Yeah, that I have to confess that's me too. I wake up so much earlier, but I got up like 9 this morning, so I feel like
Ooh.
really luxuriously slept in. So it was
That's
fun.
like my everyday.
Well, yeah,
9
but you
a.m.
also stream till like 1 in the morning or something. So I don't have that excuse. I just didn't want to get up.
Well, you've always been a very early riser. Do you feel like guilty when you wake up this late? Or, well,
No,
late.
no,
I say
no, I
late
don't.
with parentheses.
I did this morning because I had like a bunch of stuff I told myself I would do before we got together, and that was my. I used that as a reason to not do some things yesterday, and so I have reason to. I feel guilty, but it's because I did it to myself.
Happens too often, man. I always
Well,
have big dreams. Big dreams.
yeah,
Whenever you put something off, it just never, I feel like it never actually gets done.
yeah. So I didn't get some things done, and then I opened my emails first thing this morning, and I paid for it. Like there were so many emails from so many different people, asking for things I knew they were going to be asking for, and there it was. So I just
End of
I just need to set
semester
my phone back
things.
down. Yeah, but mom and I went for like a 4 mile walk yesterday, and so
Ooh.
that was
Wow.
good. And I was going to come back after that and get some work done. And I know just kind of landed conveniently into that sleepy time, and I just kind of crashed out. And then I woke up, and then the Giants were on, and that was that. So end of it. But I
That
feel
was
good about
that.
getting the exercise in. I've been, you know,
Oh,
it's
yeah.
it it's kind of funny how your fitness goals change as you get older. When you're your age, I want to work out really hard so I can look really good in this outfit or this shirt or whatever. You get to my age, like I'm going to work out so that I can put my socks on without throwing out my back.
Do you, wait, I just thought of something. There's like a tool to help you to put your shoe on, like a shoehorn. I wonder if there's equivalent for socks. I feel like
A
there has
sock
to be an
horn.
invention for a sock horn.
No, but I have this.
Something for
Speaking
everything.
of shoehorn, I think Mom and Melissa got this for me. It's the ultimate. I didn't know how to think of it at first, but it turns out I have to admit that I love it. It got me the shoehorn. Shoehorn is just this little shape. It's a shape. I don't know what it looks like, but it's this thing you just put on your heel so that your foot can slide into a shoe. And I have these little ones where you just kind of bend down, you put it on by your Achilles heel, you slide your shoe in. Well, Mom comes home with this shoehorn that's like the size of a cane. Like you could access your shoe without even having to bend over to do it. And I laughed at first, like this is ridiculous. I'm not that old. And then I tried it. I'm like, ooh, I like this.
I
This is
mean,
really great.
if it makes life easier, don't question it. I remember I was with her when she bought it. It was from IKEA. I remember
It,
it's like this long. I
it's
want
long.
one.
It's well, you should get one. It work. They work. I'm telling you, it's great. So
Oh,
anyway, the concessions you make as you age, it's just kind of funny. You see yourself doing things and using things or whatever that you kind of look at and go, is that really me? Like, how is this possible? Because I don't feel any older. I feel exactly the same as I always have. But
uh-huh.
the reality is disagrees, I guess. So
Yeah,
it's good though.
comes for
Keeping in
us
good shape.
all. Yeah. So today I sent a message in my subscriber Discord to ask if they had any like discussion requests, basically, or questions, and there were quite a few questions. So I thought might as well look at those and see,
Okay.
give the people what they want.
Yeah, bring it on.
Most of the wisdom's gonna come from Dad, not me. So get ready. Okay, so the first one is from Minty, and they asked the way, basically how to deal with heartbreak and disappointment, and then an addendum or frogs. How to deal with frogs or just
Well,
about frogs generally?
yeah.
Man.
Which one should I answer first? How to, I would say it depends on the frog. If it's a
It's
it's
a
one of those frogs that we see. But this person, this question, the person who asked this question may not know that I have been a herpetologist in my life, which is a
mm,
fancy word for a one who keeps lizards. And I
yes.
don't anymore, but I used to have terrariums, as you know, full of all kinds of things, and I did have frogs at a time. But short answer,
Really?
you got to be careful about the kind of, if you do that, be careful the kind of frog you put in your terrarium, because if you put a frog like this Argentinian horned frog, or also known as the Pac-Man frog, um,
Oh,
it will, and you come back in a week, it will be the only living thing left in the terrarium because it will eat it all.
it's
It's called a
everything.
pack. Yeah, it's called a Pac-Man frog for a reason. Like the mouth and the jaw is its whole body, and it has the capacity of
Wow.
opening its mouth to swallow anything, and they have a ferocious appetite. So don't ever get an Argentinian horned frog in a terrarium with anything else. There's my advice on frogs. And the other one would be if it's got a bunch of bright, beautiful colors, and it's
Run.
not occurring naturally in the United States. Don't touch it, because there's a possibility that it's a like an Amazonian poison dart frog or something along those lines. And if that's the case, that could be deadly for you. So
And
don't
doesn't
do
their
that. So there's my
skin
advice on frogs.
secrete poison? Like
Uh,
if you touch them,
yeah,
like
they're
that's
beautiful
it for
frogs and they're
you.
wonderful to keep. But you have to sign releases to get those in terrariums in the United States, because the poison they're called poison dart frogs because the natives that live in the Amazon traditionally, historically, would just rub their arrows on the surface of these frogs
Oh,
before they use them to hunt or whatever, because all you had to do was nick the thing and then just track the animal and it would die, because it's a nerve
no
agent, and it
way.
would kill you. So there are different types. You can get other types of like Brazilian frogs that are pretty but aren't poison dart frogs. So I always actually kind of wanted those, but
Just for the
I'm
thrill of
klutzy
it?
enough to not. That would have been a mistake. So,
No, no.
but the more serious question. Yeah,
As someone,
go ahead.
I'm just thinking about myself. As someone who has, I use stainless steel pans, and as someone who has used recipes that go stove to oven, you fry something on the stove and then you put the whole thing in the oven. As someone who has grabbed the 400-degree handle of the pan at least 4 times, I think a poison dart frog would just be signing my own death sentence. So I think I think
Yeah,
I'll avoid that. Uh,
you'd be in there, cleaning the terrarium, and the thing would leap onto your arm, and then you go. That would be it for you. Yeah.
yeah,
I
I'm
was
good.
never. My rule of thumb with keeping lizards was, I'm never going to keep something that I'm either afraid of or that can in some way harm me or anybody I care
Mm,
about. So
leopard
people
geckos.
get. Yeah, I mean, it's fun to have like vicious things in your terrariums or aquariums.
I feel like I'd
For
have
their.
nightmares about it.
Yeah,
I don't know.
we don't want that. I never kept
Leopard,
snakes or anything like
ugh.
that.
Leopard geckos. They just, they just clamp down on your finger, and it feels like a pinch.
Yeah,
And they try
leopard
to run
geckos are the
away
best
sometimes.
because they're very docile, and also they warn you if they're going to do anything, and also they have no
Mm,
teeth, so
right.
they just gum you if they're going after you. Uh,
It's enough for crickets, not enough for a finger.
so I love the frog addendum to that question. That really
Mm.
sent us off in interesting directions. But the more serious one about heartache. I mean, there's so many different types of heartache and disappointment. So it's hard to answer specifically, but in a general sense, I would say, don't. I know this sounds cliche, but don't let it become your world. Don't let it get you down indefinitely. Like, it's gonna get you down, because that's the definition of heartache and heartbreak and disappointment, when someone you love disappoints you, or a relationship that really is important to you dissolves or whatever, and you feel that horrible feeling. That just that pit in your stomach, and you
Mm.
can't think about anything else, and you can't eat, and the ultimate diet is the breakup diet. That's you could forget all the other
Mm-hmm.
diet books out there. Just get your heart broken, and you will lose more weight than you want to lose, because nothing is appealing to you. I
Yeah.
know there's someone out there saying, no, that's not true. I go right for the ice cream. But yeah, there's that too. But
Depends. Depends on the person.
um, the way I look at it when it comes to relationships, at least, if a relationship doesn't work out, you have to allow yourself to feel the pain of it. You have to walk through the pain of it, because like you'll there are a lot of temptations to anesthetize yourself and not feel it and distract yourself, and those are usually self-destructive
Yeah.
behaviors. And one of the worst forms of self-destructive behavior when it comes to that is the rebound relationship, which is very common. And rebound relationships can if depending on the level of your self-destruction, can really be problematic, and only amplify the heartache and the struggle that you have. So,
Mm.
you know, there's a certain kind of exquisite pain in being alone, like when you're in that place, just to embrace it and say, okay, this is where I am right now. And if you're desperate not to feel the pain, but if you just can remind yourself that it's not going to last. Like there will come a morning where you will wake up and it will take at least the amount of time for you to walk to the bathroom, start brushing your teeth before the pain hits you. Like there'll be
Mm.
at least a delay. It won't be like the very first thing you feel. And then over time, that delay lengthens out. And then one day, you come to the end of the day and you realize that it was a pretty good day. Now you might have a bad day the next day, but you just have to hold on to that progress. You will get through it,
Mm-hmm.
and try not. I know it's hard, but try not to be self-destructive, and don't go down that dark hole of all the things that you did wrong. I mean, there'll be a time to reflect on it.
Mm-hmm.
But even the reflection can be self-destructive in the beginning, and
Yeah.
yeah. So, and as far as people disappointing you goes, um, you have to make a decision at that point. If it's a love relationship and the relationship's over, then there's no decision to make. But if it's like a friend has disappointed you, then you have to decide: is this friendship worth pursuing or not? I mean, at a point, I would tend to I cherish friendships that I have, and I would like to keep friendships if I could. Um, but if the pattern of the friendship is that I keep getting disappointed by this person, I can forgive them and not hold a grudge, but I probably will separate from that friendship at a point, because you know if it's one time and they're sorry for it, and we talk it out and we just move on. But
Mm-hmm.
because you want to be forgiving. I mean, you're going to disappoint people too.
Right. And
You
everyone
are.
is going to disappoint you at one point or another. Like it's inevitable. I think it's really important to keep in mind that we're all. I made a short video about this once and like wrote a piece about it, but like I think if we knew if I knew everything there was to know about every person in my life, I probably wouldn't want to be around any of them. But I also
Yeah.
think the same is true in the inverse. Like if the people around me knew everything about me, every intrusive thought that I've had that I wish wasn't there, every like sinful pattern that I had, like I think people wouldn't want to be around me either. So I know that might seem like a pessimistic way to look at life, but I think it's true. So keeping that reality in mind, I think
Yep.
can prepare you to forgive people, and also to love unconditionally. And
Yeah.
there's obviously there's exceptions, there's variations to this. Like if you're in a clearly abusive relationship, you shouldn't continue in that, obviously. But if
Exactly.
it's like one person, says something that you never expected them to say, or someone acts seemingly out of character, then there's room, and I think there's wisdom and forgiveness, and like we're all constantly fighting between who we are and who we want to be. So
Mm.
if
Hmm.
like I think it's so important to be patient with other people's progress and the struggle that's always there.
That's a great point. Yeah. The if you're disappointed, somebody really, what it boils down to is that there was an expectation that you had that they didn't meet. So
Hmm.
in that situation, I think it's fair at least to ask, did this person know that I had this expectation?
Totally.
Because sometimes I've done that. I've disappointed people and I didn't even know it. Like, what I did, and
Mm.
they'll tell me about an expectation they had, and I, am surprised by that, and there was this rift in the friendship at that point, and then we got it restored because we communicated. So letting people
Right.
know what your expectations are. You gotta be careful. Like at least in love relationships, what's the quickest way to wreck the relationship? Just talk about the relationship. Don't
Yeah, too early.
don't don't overburden somebody with, like, that you just met, that you're just friends with. So here are my expectations for our friendship. Don't
Please
don't
sign
do
this
that. You have
contract before we progress further in our relationship.
Yeah, right. You have to be sensitive to the level of intimacy that a relationship has in that moment, and don't see something that isn't there. But when you are disappointed and someone doesn't meet your expectations, at least ask yourself, is it fair for them to have known I had this expectation? Is there
Mm.
anything that I didn't communicate? And that will help at least lay some groundwork for possible restoration there too.
Yeah.
That's a great question. Those are great questions.
Yeah. Because it's easy to take things personally when someone disappoints you, but it's very possible that the person, there's also like love languages to consider. Like, if my love language is gift giving, and Joshua doesn't know that, and his love language is quality time, like, I might try to show my love to him with gifts, whereas he wants more time with me, or vice versa. So it's not that we don't love each other, it's that we are still, like, I'm thinking like early relationship, we're still learning what it is that makes the other person feel loved. So
Hmm.
there's a lot. It's very important, I think, to remember that everyone is different, and your expectations are 100% not the same as the other person's, and you're going to project your own reality and your own expectations onto the other person, and that's like one of the greatest marriage pieces of like marriage counseling we got when we right before we got married, was like, because of your family and because of just the fact that you are two different people who grew up in two different worlds to some degree, your expectations, you have to release those, the non-essential ones, that is, like, things like, I mean, marriage, things like housework and like chores and
Right.
food, like literally like little habits and things. Like, you've grown up a certain way to expect those habits, and you think they're normal. They're not normal. They're normal to your family. And you have to forge new reality, new expectations, new traditions with your new family.
Yeah. And that, excuse me, and that will change as your family's dynamics change.
Right.
You and your husband are, in a different place as a couple now than you were when you first got married, and that has to do with a lot of things, your careers and your schedules, and what,
Mm.
how things have to change, and to fit around those different things that you guys have going on, and that, and if at some point you add children to the mix, and then that dramatically changes things, and they're just, or even if you just get a dog, I mean, anything like that, right, will change the dynamic of what needs to
Hmm.
take place within the family dynamic.
Right.
I have no idea what my love language is. I never really thought about it.
Ooh,
I don't even know. Like that ought to be. We got to do an episode on that sometime. Like
we should.
I because I know there's, like, is it quality time or gift giving, or like what makes me feel like I'm loved?
Uh-huh.
Like, I don't know, all those things. I guess if someone gives me a gift, I'm thrilled. If someone spends quality time with me, I'm thrilled. Like, I don't know what else. What other languages are there?
That's a good. Okay. I think it was me and Joshua talking about it. We were trying to figure out what our parents' love languages were. I think for
Oh, okay.
yours,
What is? Tell me, what's my love language?
well, we came to the conclusion that you're kind of a mix of all of them. Like, you have pretty
See, that's what I
evenly,
said.
yeah, like you definitely quality time. Like, you cherish and you effectively use any time that you have with us. Like, we always have good conversations. Like, I can tell I just see that in you. And then there's also a difference between the love that you receive and the love that you give.
Mm,
You're an excellent gift giver. Like, I remember the gift that you got for mom on your 10-year
yeah.
anniversary. Like, that was, this guy. got he for their 10 my mom and my parents' 10-year anniversary, you made 10 CDs
Mm.
with music from the year of marriage. And not necessarily that was released that year, but music that you listened to that year, right?
Yeah, that thematically expressed what was going on
And a
in our
diamond ring.
lives. And a diamond
And
ring,
a
yeah.
diamond ring.
My favorite part of those 10 CDs was that I wrote liner notes for each one. I put pictures, and
Oh,
I
I didn't know
designed, had the
that.
whole jewel cases, and I had special software so I could print things that would fit into a CD case. CDs. People listening are like, "What's a CD?" But
Mm-hmm.
and I wrote about liner notes and referencing the songs about what was going on that year and why
Mm-hmm.
these songs were memorable for that year. Yeah, I'll have to show you the whole thing. I
I
have it.
have, yeah, I want to look at it. And then the other one is there's 5 types. A words of affirmation. You're really good at giving words of affirmation. Um, I've always felt that. You've always very
Yeah.
encouraging, and that's just I think just something as someone who loves language, like that's and like
Right.
you have a mastery of language, so it's that's like a a natural way for you to express like love to people.
Right.
And
Yeah.
then
Never
the
shut up.
no. And the last two are acts of service and physical touch. So I don't know. I don't
Yeah.
know.
I'm
Acts of
very.
service, I think the ones that stick out to me the most are words of affirmation, quality time, and gift giving.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
know.
That sounds about right. You know. I'll have to sit down and like. It's a book.
We
I
could
think
do a
read a book
test.
or.
Yeah, there's a
Okay.
book. Maybe
Yeah.
we'll do that. We'll do one day, maybe next week. We could do love language
Yeah.
quiz and we'll do
Yeah.
Enneagram quiz.
I'm a huggy person too. I like to like
Mm,
hug you guys, and
yeah.
I don't know, it's interesting. I'm curious about that.
But no,
But
yeah,
it's
we
the
really
difference
couldn't nail
between
one
how
down.
you send and receive it.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
So
good, but
give
it's
us
good
another
to know those
question.
things. Okay.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay, so so Joey, one of my mods, Joey Climb says, I don't think anyone could ignore the fact that you and your dad slash family have such a precious relationship. What do you think were the contributions to this? I agree. Very much agree.
Me too.
Um, there's so many things.
Yeah. Well,
I'm trying to go back in time and think about the way
yeah.
we were
I
raised.
to me, I know this. It. I guess I don't want to say take it for granted, but I can't envision another way. Like
No, me
and
neither.
I know that not everybody has that experience with their parents, and so I'm not. I know it isn't for everybody, but I always wanted kids. Um, even when mom told me I don't think I can have kids, I said, well, I don't care. That doesn't change how I feel about you. But I always wanted kids, and I love kids. I love playing with. Yeah, even when I was a boy, I loved playing with my little cousins or whatever because it's just they're the most delightful little people in the world. They're so trusting, and they're so willing to laugh. And so anyway, when you were born, it was you were just this treasure to me, and you still are. And I I couldn't see any other way of interacting with you but to see you that way and to interact with you that way, and to just be completely in love with you, and want to
No,
you know make you laugh and smile and make you happy, and not spoil you, but always be thinking about what, and this is mom too, and what would be in your best interest, whatever that, even if you didn't agree all the time what it was, and and you're just delightful, like just being around you, and is a joy for me as a father, and always has been. I was always so very proud of you, even when you were just not even talking yet, showing you off. And that feeling never went away, from the day you were born until today. Like that, it's only grown. It's always been there. There's never been, a time where I didn't, you know, feel good to see your smiling face, and feel bad to see you unhappy, and so everything about how I relate to you stems from that same feeling that was just automatically there for me. So,
Mm.
you know, um, that's from my perspective. It feels normal and natural because
It
it's just
yeah.
a flow of how I've always seen you, and as a gift and as a joy
Mm.
and as a responsibility, certainly when you were young, but as a source of pride and a good kind of pride, and um, but what's been really wonderful for me as a dad as you've grown up is to come to you on terms of like a peer and a friend too as you've grown
Mhm.
up and have these types of conversations like we're having right now, which is, you have as much to contribute as I do and more. And those moments when I can recall times when you I would walk away as you got older. I'd walk away from a conversation realizing that you had taught me something, and I remember thinking that is remarkable. That shift has happened. I mean, I was always learning because I was a dad, but I mean, like an insight that you had, uh, you shared with me about experience I was having and helped me out, or helped me see myself better, or talk work through with something, and
Wow.
that was a neat thing, and I realized, wow, so it never really is going to end. Like there's an adult now growing into a young woman, and that relationship's going to become even richer and deeper now. Now the roles are different,
Yeah.
um, and we're going to spend more of our time in this role than we ever did in the role when it was like grown up and child.
Right.
Well,
That's weird to
it
think
feels like
about.
that's always going to be the whole thing. Yeah, that you think that's going to always be the whole thing, but the truth is, that's only like your first, 18 years of life, um,
Right.
and then, I certainly hope that I live long enough to see you get into, my age and older. So that's a long, it's a long time that we're going to be adults together, and how much fun
Yeah.
is that going to be, and it already is. So um, I don't know that really, if that really answers the question, because I can't give anybody like, well, here's 5 tips, or but
Well,
that's just
yeah. I'm trying to think, like, I can't imagine having a strained relationship with either of you. Yeah, because having a healthy relationship with you guys is so important, or so easy, and I'm trying to understand how is it, what causes strained relationships with parents. I mean, the way I am, who I am, and who Mel is, we're obviously shaped by how we're raised and by you guys. So then that obviously there's different factors, but then okay, so then we have to look further back. Who you guys are is part of who we are. So then why are you guys the way you are? And I think the real only answer that can really be given is that like Christ is at the center of our family. Like
yeah.
you you I've heard your testimony. I heard mom's testimony, and I am amazed at the transformation that you both have seen in life when you were saved.
Hmm.
So like and knowing, I'm trying to think of the scripture, but like Christ fulfills our needs and
Hmm.
the lackings that we have in our soul, and like the feelings of like aimlessness and I really want to find the reference for what I'm saying, but uh
Yeah,
yeah,
well, that
like
go ahead. Yeah.
you guys are who you are because of Christ. So yeah, be Jeremiah 17:7, but blessed is the one who trusts in the Lord, whose confidence is in him. Like we you guys have confidence and peace in yourselves, and
Hmm.
therefore aren't projecting insecurities onto your children, which I think is what a lot of parents sadly do,
Hmm.
and like try to live vicariously through their kids. And you guys supported us and like had dreams for us, but like you let us take the wheels for the most part, and just guided us
Mhm.
along the way. So like that's probably the best way I can
Yeah,
rationalize it.
there was a there was a foundation, a firm
Firm
foundation
foundation.
in our family from the beginning, and by a foundation, mom mom and I had a shared understanding of what our purpose as parents
Right.
was, and what our ultimate goals for you and Melissa would be. And so there was never a time where we disagreed on that. That was never, on those foundational parts of parenting and the goals for you guys. We always were exactly aligned. Like, and that's
Mm-hmm.
only happens if you have a shared worldview
Right.
that's founded in something. For us, in our faith in the Lord, and what our
Right.
purposes were in raising you to know Him. And so, you know,
Mm-hmm.
there was never any family politics going on in the home about
Right. No.
we don't we disagreed about what we wanted for you or for Melissa, and then or we were playing you guys off each other, or for in some kind of a weird political dynamic. And I know that can
No.
happen, like, well, who's the favorite parent in this home,
Mm-hmm.
or I'll, one kid will go to mom to ask, and then we'll go to dad to ask, and then and there's they don't agree on what the discipline should be, or they don't agree on what's permissible in the home. Like, you were never going to get anywhere going from me to mom or from mom to me.
No, it didn't
We were
matter.
one minded, single minded. Now, you know privately, she and I would you know talk about, well, should we let her go to this concert, or should things, ancillary things like that. um,
Mm-hmm.
but we would never let you see, if there was any discord, we never let you see it, because
Right.
that would have only confused you. But that was
Right.
if there was ever
You
anything like
never
that, it was about
fought
something like
in front of
what
us.
concert are you going to? But as far as like what's more important, like I talked about in the last podcast, you going to this private school, or or you shopping at Abercrombie and Fitch. I mean, that was we didn't even have a problem making that choice. I mean, if we could have had both, great. But if we had to choose, it was easy, and because one fit our ultimate goals for you, and the other one was just, well, that'd be nice if, but it's not a goal.
Yeah.
So I think having that,
Yeah.
al-
One-mindedness
yeah,
between the two of you.
allowed for less turmoil in the home, because
Mm-hmm.
yeah, we just didn't have any kind of that kind of strife in the home. There was conflict sometimes, of course,
Right.
but you
Isn't
like
there
you weren't.
always?
Yeah, we didn't have like this crazy teenage years with you and Melissa, and where we didn't get along, and that you ever showed us any disrespect. Like, I never ever caught that from you. Not one time did you ever indicate to me that you didn't respect me, or that
No.
you never
Yeah.
said
No.
anything
Even if
mean
I
to me, or
wasn't, yeah, and I obviously, like, there were times that I wasn't saved until I was 16. So, and I had times where I had a lot of emotional turmoil and
Mhm.
random stuff, and like wanted to do things, but I couldn't, or like wouldn't be allowed to, or whatever. But even then, like, I didn't. Yeah, I never didn't want to obey. Like, I never I in my heart I didn't want to disrespect you
Mm.
because I knew you guys were right. That's probably part of it. But like, I knew you guys had my best interests at heart all the time, even if it sucked in the moment. But like, even then, it was so rare. And I don't know. Obviously, me and Mel were different as kids, but I think she would say the same thing. So I don't know.
Yes,
Well,
I think you
you guys
guys.
were worthy of my respect, so I respected you guys.
Well, you trusted us. You
Yeah,
always
I
trusted
trusted
us,
you.
and you trusted that we loved you, and that
Yeah.
trust found, when you trust somebody, then you don't question their motives. Like, and if you don't question their motives,
Hmm.
um,
That's so true.
I mean, it changes everything. If you're not suspicious, you're not angsty about things. You can rest in uncomfortable situations, because the person who loves you, uh, is is in control of the situation. They're not going
Mm-hmm.
to leave you there longer than you need to be there or whatever, you know. And we were also never unreasonable with you guys. Like,
No.
um, you know, of course you got in trouble. You were kids, you know, of course you did. But, um, you know, it wasn't like you're grounded for the summer. You know, I don't think.
No, you guys said just punishment for me, and I always knew I deserved it. So
There were only maybe 2 or 3 times in my experience as a parent where I think I ever let you guys see that I was angry. And those are things we laugh about now. You know, just like, you know, where I'm not like, yeah, I never ever yelled at you guys, but, you know, just what would I do? One time I think I was frustrated. I can't remember what I was frustrated about, but I happened to have there was a shoe nearby, and I just took the shoe and I kind of flung it
Dad threw the
because it
shoe.
was where it shouldn't be, near the kitchen or something, and I just flung it near the door where it was supposed to be. But I flung it with a little extra on it, and it broke a CD like that. And it wound up in your newsletter. That's right. We were going to talk about this last time, and
Yeah, we didn't.
it wound
We
up
ran
in
out of
some like
time.
newsletter that you did as a little girl or something. Anyway, but that was, you know, having that, we had a lot of peace in our home. I guess that's.
Yeah, I never felt
So we had
unsafe.
conversations.
I never felt like I was not being cared for. Like there, I just like you said, when you trust someone, you don't question their motives. So I was never afraid. Like I never, I don't know. It's hard
Mhm.
to imagine it being any differently, but you guys both had a clear objective in mind, and it was to raise my sister and I in the Lord and with wisdom and to help us become who we were supposed to be. And you never projected any of your own fears or worries or like when you're content in who you are, you're not, as a parent, I'm sure this changes everything. Like when you know your objective in life, you're not going to aimlessly and needlessly hurt your children by trying to shape them into who you want to be or who you wish you were or like
Mm-hmm.
in an unhealthy way.
Right.
Yeah, man. So share, yeah, man. I guess it's pretty
Yeah.
simple.
Yeah. I will say,
Shared
because
worldview.
I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea and think that I was this perfect parent. I mean, I wasn't, you know, and nobody is. And I made my mistakes and things I maybe would do differently, I guess. But whenever there was something like that, I oh, I was never afraid to go to you or to Melissa and say, hey, you know, I've thought about this some more, and I was wrong. I realized I was wrong in the
Mm-mm.
situation. I'm sorry. And even when you were little, I would say those things,
Mm.
and that's part of building that trust. You know, parents, if you're a parent, you're listening to this, or you're a future parent, um, it's not to say you're sorry, to admit you were wrong, even to your children, is not a sign of weakness. In fact, it's really an
It's an
important part of
amazing
building
teaching
trust with them.
moment.
Yeah, right. They need to see you as human, as fallible, and that will help build the trust, because you know your pride will get in the way. You'll do something and you'll realize, oh yeah, I overreacted to this thing that my kid just did, and and I got angry or whatever. I showed my frustration, and then you just say, oh well, it doesn't matter. I'm the dad, so they just have to deal with it, and you just move on because
Yeah.
you know you had a rough day at work. Um, but they remember that, like they and then they're a little bit
And
scared of
it
you. Like,
shapes
do you really
them.
want that? Yeah. So instead, you can actually flip that and from a negative to a positive if you know, just set your pride aside and go back to, again, like I said, the original goal, which is I want to raise my children in a certain way, uh, and I don't, and one part of that is I don't want them to distrust me. So
Mm.
I'm going to go to and say, yeah, I was wrong about that, and we had those conversations over the years too, so that, you know, that's why we're here having this conversation, because we like each other.
Yeah,
You
right.
know, I love you. Of course, you're my daughter. I've always loved you, but but I really like you too. Like I would, I, I would spend time with you if we weren't related. If you were, you know, another student in one of my classes, I would think this is a really great kid. Like I really, you're not a kid anymore, but I really like this person, and they're have a lot of interesting things to say, and you know,
Hmm.
you would be someone I would hang out with, well, and if we were the same age, would hang out. That's weird. Wait.
Maybe if I was a male.
Yeah, okay. Let me
No, I
rephrase.
get what you're trying to say.
Okay. Anyway, moving on.
Don't get the wrong idea, okay? My dad is the most wholesome, honorable person I know.
I try.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It's like I also will say like all of my friends who know you, they all think that you guys are exceptional parents. Like my believing friends
Cool.
too. So
That's nice.
there's
Well, I
something
like your friends.
else, something unquantifiable that you guys have that I don't really know how to articulate, but yeah, maybe I'm trying to think of smaller little details that really meant a lot to me growing up. Like I never
Well,
felt like you guys wanted to you guys never discouraged me in my interests or in my hobbies or what I thought I wanted to do like with my future or anything. And like obviously my plans changed a lot over like the last like 10 years. But I
yeah, mine too.
you yeah, oh, yeah, but you guys have been supportive and helpful all the way through. Yeah, that's helped me a lot, especially where I'm at now because it's I don't know, I part of my job and part of my livelihood is just like grasping interests that I have and turning them into something that benefits not just me but other people too. So be having the confidence growing up to like I can try something new and like it's okay. I don't have to be one person who only does one thing all the time or I don't have to have my plans set in stone. Like I think that's prepared me for the
No.
job that I'm in now because it's very volatile and weird. Like
Mhm.
I wasn't even playing the game that I'm playing. The main game that I've all of my content is about. I wasn't even playing that game like a couple months ago.
That's
So
amazing.
like
That's amazing. Like, who
life
knew?
who
I remember
knew?
when you first started playing it, and I thought, oh, this is really a pretty game. Like, I remember
Ah, it's
thinking
so
that it just
pretty.
the interface, the graphics, it's beautiful, and music and everything else. And then here we are, and it's become this platform for you, or a springboard for your platform. So
I peaked over 400 viewers the other day
I know. Mom
for the
told me
first time.
that's congratulations. That's
I don't
amazing. 400 people. That's amazing.
I don't know. I'm just
Just
gonna
ride
keep
it.
going. Just
Yeah, whatever you're doing is
not gonna
working.
question
You
it.
know. I
Yeah,
know.
there's a lot of things. There's a lot of
But
things that you guys prepared us for.
that's a great question. You know, there's a lot more we could say, but we could talk about this for an hour. But um,
Hmm.
you know, thank to the person who asked it. Thank you for seeing that in us, and that we have a good relationship. That's always nice to hear.
Yeah.
I agree with you. I think we do. Um, and if it if that answer can help you at all with your situation, present or in the future, um, that's great. Because if you don't, like I've said before, you gotta have peace in your home. Like, if you don't have peace in your
Mm.
home, you don't have peace.
Yeah.
Your family needs to get along. And every family is different in how that works. So our way is a way. There
Hmm.
may there, whatever works, but you know there's some principles that apply. But I guess the last thing I'll say about it is, um, don't be afraid to laugh at yourself, like, and laugh at each other. Like, our home was always filled with a lot of laughing. Like,
Yeah.
having a good sense of humor is great for just getting through life at all. And
Mm.
so
Amen.
just embrace that. Laugh at each other, and when you make mistakes, you're going to laugh at it later. So just remember that
Just
in the
laugh at
time, in
it
the moment
now.
when it's not so yeah, it may not be so funny in the moment, and you have to be serious about it, but just keep, just be easy on yourself and be easy on the people around you. You're gonna go through this together. You're a family, and
Mm.
you can't really, you can be estranged from your family, but you can't separate your family. Your family is your family. You're gonna go through the world together. So be
Mm.
forgiving and laugh at each other's mistakes, and don't take things too hard. And that's, I think, good advice too.
I agree. Oh man. Well, guess what? We're at the 45-minute mark.
Are we
We had two
already? we,
questions.
we answered like two
We talked
questions.
about frogs, heartbreak, and family. I guess those are
Golly,
pretty
how did that
hard-hitting
happen? Were
subjects.
there any? There's no more questions we can answer in like a minute. I feel bad we didn't get to everybody.
There weren't a ton of questions.
Okay, good.
Let me see. There's one, but it's a really robust question that will probably.
Okay,
Why do
maybe
we
that becomes a.
exist? Why do good people suffer? What does it mean to suffer? Is it a bad thing? I don't think we can answer that in a minute. I don't know if I can answer it at all.
If I claim to be able to answer that in a minute, then you could just stop listening because I'm a liar.
Don't listen. Don't come back. This is our last episode. All right.
But
Thank you
great
guys for
questions.
listening. Thank you for the questions. I think, yeah, we'll probably do this again. I'll give people more time to ask
Yeah,
questions
for
in the
sure.
future because it's
I like this.
nice.
This is a great method.
Agreed. Next week we'll do Enneagram tests and we'll do love language tests. So get ready for some quizzy
Oh,
quizzes.
wow. All right.
Thank you for listening to this episode and we'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, everybody.